How to respond to the claim the Seventh-day Adventist Church no longer supports abortion, or the Adventist Church is now pro-life. In the year 2019, the Adventist Church adopted a new position on abortion, and since that time, whenever bringing up this topic, it has been common for people to hear the response or assertion that the church no longer supports this. So how do you respond? The first thing to notice is that the claim itself admits that the church did in fact support abortion. That is very important to observe. Official journals document that the Adventist Church officially accepted abortion in 1970 for the purpose of making money, but realizing that church members would not support this, the leadership kept it a secret. In the 1980s, evangelicals and Catholics began protesting Adventist support and practice of abortion on demand, and when these secrets got exposed in the international news, like here at the Washington Post, church leaders became creative and began to claim that killing children is a sacred religious freedom that must be protected. In the year 1992, the church passed a new position right here, famously called the Guidelines, with obvious pro-abortion language, but for decades, it has been very common for church leaders to try to deny and downplay this. We were told repeatedly for decades that the church did not support it when it did in fact do so. When I started my YouTube channel in the year 2017, people would constantly criticize and attack me for challenging the position. They said this is biblical, it's okay, there's nothing wrong, there's no problem, that the church was right and that I was wrong and that it would never change. But then it was reported that, quote, amidst growing criticism, the church is revisiting the abortion position, and the official news right here announced Adventist Church works to clarify its stance on abortion, and then in the year 2019 completely deleted and rescinded the 1992 guidelines and adopted a new position. Now, this is completely amazing because we were told repeatedly for decades that the position was fine and would never change, and then poof, it changed. Since 2019, people have adopted a new tactic of saying that it's not a problem anymore. The church is now pro-life and no longer supports abortion. That is a lie, and it's easy to prove. In 2019, the church approved a new position here, which has several sections, and right here in section 6 contains a loophole for elective abortion. Quote, in rare and extreme cases, human conception may produce pregnancies with fatal prospects and or acute life-threatening birth anomalies that present individuals and couples with exceptional dilemmas. Decisions in such cases may be left to the what? To the conscience of the individuals involved and their families. When this was being debated in 2019, a lot of people were very suspicious of this language, and with good reason. At that time, almost 50 plus years of fraud and deceptive language, people had every right to be suspicious. What in the world is a birth anomaly? That's not a scientific or medical term. And why in the world is killing the child defined as a matter of conscience? People like Pastor Doug Batchelor here voiced concern that this language could serve as a loophole, but in response, church leaders downplayed and denied this and said that the health ministries of the General Conference would later publish a, quote, protocol to define exactly what this language meant. However, without even waiting for the protocol to be published, we were immediately told that, oh, all is well, no problems. The most famous example of this is when Pastor Mark Finley came out with a video here claiming there was no problem and that the statement, quote, does not open the door for abortion. However, the region of the world church that has been the most pro-abortion is North America, and interestingly, the then President Dan Jackson at the year-end meetings in November openly admitted on video that yes, Section 6 is a loophole by telling church leaders that the new position, quote, does not close the door. This is all on video. Anyways, this was all at the end of 2019, and as we waited for the protocol, the Adventist Review came out with a really weird article here in February, strangely titled, Needed a Whole Church Response, where the director of the GC Health Ministries, Dr. Peter Landless, speaking about the church's history of abortion, said, quote, we've also now moved from a time of selective disclosure to full disclosure aided by trust and respect. That is a bunch of baloney. That the new statement is fully biblical, not true, and that the new protocol would only be for, quote, rare and very difficult circumstances. Well, that turned out to be a complete and total lie, because several months later, during the summer of 2020, the General Conference, without any news or announcements, silently published the long-awaited protocol, where, completely contrary to all their previous promises, they claimed that Section 6 loophole actually means abortion for the, quote, read it for yourself, mental health of the mother, which is the exact same language used to allow for abortion on demand. After a lot of outrage and complaining, the GC then deleted the protocol. Interestingly, people criticized me for years and always told me how wrong I was, but it was that summer of 2020 when almost all of that criticism disappeared. A lot of people finally realized how serious this problem really is. The summer of 2020 was when people realized that there are some really hardcore pro-abortion people in our church leadership. And then when the protocol was deleted, they simply replaced it with the now current protocol, which simply repeats the loophole, birth anomalies. But this is completely absurd because you can't define something by citing itself. What is a birth anomaly? They say, well, it's a birth anomaly, but you have no idea what this even means. That is absurd. This is not a scientific or medical term, so it's completely useless for medical professionals. But even then, it still doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's also defined as a matter of conscience. When people tell you that the Adventist Church no longer supports abortion, you can respond by asking, number one, what is a birth anomaly? Please provide the official definition, but they can't. Number two, even if they try to make up a definition, ask them for the Bible verse that gives authority to intentionally kill a boy or girl with an anomaly. Where is that Bible verse? No such verse exists. Number three, ask them to explain why top church leadership at the General Conference defined birth anomaly to mean mental health of the mother. How in the world did they get from anomaly to mental health? People say that Adventists don't dance, but if you ask that question, they will dance. They'll do anything to avoid answering that question. Bringing up this in-your-face evidence that church leaders got caught blatantly lying is the best, most damning evidence that you can present. Number four, the church's official position on euthanasia states right here in section 5 that Adventists, quote, are opposed to the intentional taking of the life of someone who is sick and dying. So ask the question, why are we opposed to killing born children who are sick and dying, but not opposed to killing unborn children who are sick and dying? Our positions on euthanasia and abortion are in complete contradiction. This is a question that, of course, they will never answer. Number five, ask them why the church claims that killing unborn children is a matter of conscience, but not when killing born children. For example, point out that for female genital mutilation, the Adventist Church states here in paragraph 5 that the right to practice one's religion does not vindicate harming another person. Thus, appeals to religious liberty do not justify female genital mutilation. So when anyone tells you that the Adventist Church no longer supports abortion, ask them why. It's not religious liberty or conscience to kill or mutilate born children, but it is religious liberty or conscience to mutilate and kill unborn children. Now, there are many other additional things that you can say in response, but typically you won't get even past one or two of these points because typically anyone who says that the church no longer supports abortion is trying to bully you or intentionally deceive you. And when you demonstrate even a modicum of understanding of what is going on, they're just going to drop it and do the what about. Oh, well, what about this or what about that? The typical Adventist who tries this is hoping that their audience is uninformed and doesn't know what is going on and can't articulate a response. A very important visual to remember is the bullseye on a target. We have a solemn obligation from God to be honest and speak the truth to the world. The single greatest, most important point is the official witness and position of the Adventist Church. What does the church officially tell the world concerning the killing of children? This is the bullseye. And when you point out that this is wrong and evil, people will engage in every type of manipulative or intimidating tactic to get you away from the bullseye. They will try to get you talking about politics or talking about hospitals. They will try to confuse or muddy the issue or claim that this is the best that the church can do. They will come up with all sorts of disgusting, absurd excuses or imply that you are a bad person for questioning the church's position. For over 50 years, the Adventist Church has been teaching a satanic lie. And for over 50 years, they have repeatedly engaged in every sort of obfuscation, lying, fraud, and deception. And even when they get caught, there is no apology, no repentance, no explanation, no accountability, nothing. Adventists get caught for supporting the violent torture and murder of untold millions of children, and you will notice that they never apologize. Adventists, we never apologize. You are dealing with a very proud and very arrogant people, and not only arrogant, but defiant. You can provide all the facts, the history, the science. You can provide all the scriptures. It doesn't matter. Jesus does not matter. The cross does not matter. The church does not matter. Our mission does not matter. The truth does not matter. What matters is that we are the lords of life and death, and we shall be saved no matter what we do. Once you understand the defiant arrogance in the Adventist mind, then you will understand why, when we get caught lying and supporting Satan, we continue to act the way that we do, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. In our defiant, arrogant mind, it doesn't matter. And the perfect way to help illustrate or prove this point is Dr. Edward Allred, the notorious abortionist who boasted of killing over 250,000 children, who openly boasted of targeting minority children for violence, specifically blacks and Hispanics. Several years ago, evangelicals and Catholics and other Christian denominations were horrified to see Adventist institutions name part of their university after Allred. They literally put up plaques on the wall saying that Allred will forever, read it for yourself, will forever be an example to our students. He is their inspiration for their economic philosophy, and the flagship medical center of the Adventist Church, Loma Linda, has honored him as a distinguished ambassador for the healing ministry of Jesus Christ. This man publicly boasted of violently killing hundreds of thousands of children, and even though our church was publicly humiliated in the international media, you will notice that not one church leader apologized for this, not even one. We arrogantly and defiantly continue to honor a man who single-handedly killed more children than arguably anyone else in all of human history. Allred told the newspaper that Saturday is the most popular day for abortions. He said that every seventh-day Sabbath, over 100 children were violently killed, and that's at just one of his many clinics. And this is the man honored as an example for our youth, as an inspiration and ambassador. He is the man who was honored at the General Conference session for giving so much money to our institutions. There is no other denomination on the entire planet that does this. Only the professed commandment-keeping remnant. For over 50 years, the Seventh-day Adventist Church has been very pro-murder, pro-abortion, and remains so even until today, very pro-abortion. The only thing that has changed is that we have become more stubborn, more hard-hearted, more defiant, and more arrogant. Now, having said all of this, it is important to note that leadership have never allowed the world church to vote on this. As documented in research papers and journals, it was the Americans and the GC who brought this abomination into the church. It was the Americans and the GC who kept this a secret. It was the Americans who stacked the committees with pro-abortion voices. Quote, an American committee speaking for the world church, where opinion ran much more strongly against abortion than in the U.S. So while yes, it is true that the pro-abortion position is the official world church position, and quote, speaks for the world church itself has never been allowed to vote on this issue in session because leaders in North America and the GC, they know full well that if given an opportunity, the Latin Americans, Africans, and Asians would vote against this. As evidenced by this graph here, North Americans only make up about 6% of the world church, but because of their money, institutions, and history have disproportionate influence on church policy. So, yes, the Adventist Church is and has been officially pro-abortion for over 50 years. But the actual world membership, especially outside the USA, does not support this, but unfortunately has never been allowed to vote on this, which is criminal. Anyways, that's enough for today. To learn more, please see my other videos. And as always, thank you for watching.